Analysis of Iran's potential response to US and Israeli strikes. Recent events have seen a sharp escalation marked by Israeli military strikes, supported by the US, targeting Iran's nuclear facilities. These strikes included intense air raids on uranium enrichment sites, such as the Natanz complex and facilities in Isfahan, as well as ballistic missile sites, military bases, and key personnel in the nuclear program and the IRGC. These operations were described as part of a broader campaign aimed at crippling Iran's nuclear ambitions and reducing its military capabilities. Iran has vowed to respond, calling the strikes an act of war. It has launched retaliatory missile and drone attacks against Israeli targets, some of which were intercepted. It is expected that Iran's leadership will adopt calibrated steps on three fronts: diplomatic, military, and domestic. First, diplomatic steps: suspension of nuclear talks and reduced cooperation with the IAEA, with threats to withdraw from the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT. Strengthening coordination with Russia and China, and pushing the matter at the UN Security Council to gain international legitimacy. Leveraging ties with Gulf states to distance them from the US-Israeli axis, using both reassurances and veiled threats. Exploiting international public opinion and organizations by portraying Iran as a victim of unjustified aggression and highlighting Israel's undeclared nuclear arsenal. Second, military and security steps: reinforcing air defenses and redeploying missile systems while relocating command centers to secure locations. Additional calculated missile and drone strikes to demonstrate deterrent capability and preserve national pride. Limited targeting of US forces in the Gulf, Iraq, or Syria via proxy groups to increase pressure without provoking full-scale war. Activating regional allies and proxy forces, Hezbollah, Iraqi Syrian militias, and the Houthis to open multiple pressure fronts. Utilizing Iran's cyber capabilities to strike sensitive infrastructure in Israel or the US. 3. Domestic steps: intensifying nationalistic propaganda, emphasizing foreign aggression to unite internal ranks and suppress criticism. Enforcing a media blackout and internet shutdowns to control the narrative and prevent organized dissent. Widespread arrests and intimidation of activists, critics, and journalists to secure the domestic front. Emergency leadership arrangements, including sheltering the supreme leader and designating possible successors. Social and economic measures to absorb public anger, such as price controls and urgent financial aid, coupled with religious and patriotic mobilization campaigns. Iran is employing a multi-layered strategy: diplomatic escalation with calibrated rhetoric, measured military retaliation, and tight domestic control. It does not seek a full-scale war, but is unwilling to surrender without imposing a cost. Tehran aims to buy time, rebuild deterrence, and keep the threat of escalation alive to assert its role in any future regional settlement. At the same time, the strikes may push Iranian decision-makers closer to the long-suspected path of acquiring a nuclear deterrent. The crisis may either escalate further or move toward conditional de-escalation, depending on how other actors respond. In any case, Iran's response will be multifaceted, focused on signaling resilience, preventing internal collapse, and reshaping the regional rules of engagement.